Hi guys, Happy New Year and thanks a lot for watching the first Football Romance on Tour video of 2017. I hope you've all had a great Christmas and New Year and that you've eaten and drunk as much as I have over the last couple of weeks. Now this is going to be a bit of a festive special, and because I've used the word festive, I kind of felt obliged to do this sitting in front of a Christmas tree, so there you go. Now, I'm not actually in France, Italy or Spain for this one. I am instead in the cathedral city of Brechin, Angus, Scotland, which is where I first developed my love of football, playing outside on the street with my mates or in our parents' back gardens, which we basically destroyed for the best part of 10 years. Now, I'm going to be a little bit controversial and suggest that there's maybe not quite as much to see or do in Brechin as there is in Madrid, Barcelona or Annecy, where I did my first video, but I think there are a couple of things that you need to know about this place nevertheless and might be worth checking out. So the town, and also the football team, which I'll come to a little bit later, is often referred to as a city because of its 13th century cathedral. Now that stands alongside an 11th century round tower, which is in fact one of only two of its kind in Scotland. They are much more typically found in Ireland. We've also got the award-winning Caledonian Railway, which is actually one of the most visited attractions in Angus. It's a Victorian station, it's not actually part of the main rail network, but there are excursions to the nearby village of Dun at weekends in the summer, and there are also special events on at various different times of the year as well. Brechin's most famous son is possibly Robert Watson Watt. He's the guy who's kind of a pioneer and contributor to the development of radar just in time for the Second World War, so that helped the Royal Air Force win the Battle of Britain. Now, there's a statue of him in St Ninian's Square, which is the main square in town, so he is doing his best Usain Bolt impression. A short drive from the town will take you into the Angus Glens or up to the Catter Thuns, where you can find remains of Iron Age hill forts. Well, we're just a few miles away from the coast, so if the weather in the summer is too roasting hot for you inland, you can quickly escape to cooler temperatures. Oh no, wait, I think I got my notes mixed up. That's from the Barcelona video. So it's bank holiday Monday afternoon, and what better way to spend it than by going along to see Brechin City, the Mighty Reds, taking on Peterhead, aka Peterhead, at Glebe Park. Now, if you ever go to Glebe Park, you'll find it's possibly one of the most peculiar grounds in Scottish football. Behind one of the goals, you have got what is locally known as the Cowshed, and behind the opposite goal, there is the biggest stand in the ground. Now, the biggest stand in the ground isn't opposite the main stand, because opposite the main stand, you've got the world famous Glebe Park hedge, which runs along most of one of the sides of the pitch. Now, the hedge actually came under threat in 2009 by UEFA because it deemed that the dimensions of the pitch didn't comply with their regulations. And basically that's one of the main reasons why you've never seen Brechin City playing in the Champions League or Europa League. So Brechin are currently sitting in third place in Scottish League 1, that's the third tier of Scottish football. They'll be hoping for a top 4 finish to make sure they are involved in the end of season promotion playoffs. Now, they've actually been in the same division for the last 11 seasons, which totally contradicts what went before that. I remember back in the day when I was a kid, they were constantly chopping and changing. I think there was a spell in the 90s where in fact they were either promoted or relegated for 5 seasons in a row. So they're actually sitting 8 points behind league leaders Livingston. They lost a bit of ground in November and December. They suffered 4 league defeats in a row. But at the end of 2016, with back-to-back wins, so they'll be hoping to continue their momentum today. Now, Peterhead, on the other hand, are struggling at the opposite end of the table. They're a point off bottom spot. They have lost 4 and drawn 1 of their last 5 matches. One of them was a cup game, but they have actually won 3 of their last 5 away fixtures, so they might well prove to be dangerous opponents. So to call that first half frantic would be a bit of an understatement. I think Brechin struggled at the start. It was quite hard to work out what formation they were actually playing. I don't think the players even knew themselves. I managed to figure out that I think it looked like a 3-5-2, which they kind of grew into. Midway through the half, they had a decent spell. Conor McClellan's on loan from Aberdeen. He's playing up front, and I've been quite impressed with him. He's held the ball up quite nicely whenever he's had it into feet. But they've struggled to get it up to him as much as we'd like to. So yeah, we'll hopefully get more from him in the second half. Hardly been any efforts on goal at all. I think it took until about 35 or 40 minutes to get one on goal, and I'm not sure it was even really worthy of the name, to be honest. So we'll see if things improve any in the second half. Let's hope so. It has been a good first half though, I have to say. Not specifically for the football, but more because I've been able to catch up a lot of the locals I hadn't seen for a while. I completely forgot to mention at half time that there were actually 2 attempts on goal for Peterhead that were cleared off the line right at the end of the first half. I think I was probably half asleep with nothing going on before then. Were things any better in the second half? Well, I guess they were, in the sense that we did actually get a goal from Peterhead's Rory McAllister against his former club. That was definitely the key moment of the match, closely followed by a cat sneaking onto the pitch. So I think the visitors were probably worthy winners. They did more attacking than their opponents without being massively threatening. But Brechin basically created absolutely nothing at all. They looked quite uncomfortable in their 3-5-2 system. The wing-backs tried to get forward to offer a bit of width, but they really struggled to do so effectively. I think every time we got the ball, they looked in field into a ruck of players, and I don't think they once managed to get beyond the opposition fullbacks. I talked at halftime about Connor McLennan and how he'd been quite dangerous for Brechin. He got on the ball, he twisted and turned away from the defenders a couple of times without quite being able to break clean through on goal. But there was basically none of that in the second half. He didn't have anything at all to work with before he went off. So yeah, it was a poor game overall, not going to lie, but I probably should cut the players some slack. The conditions were quite difficult. It was the first game back after Hogmanay. They were probably still feeling the effects of that. And living in Madrid, I've probably become a bit of a football snob as well, being a bit spoiled football-wise, so my expectations are pretty high these days. As you can see, the Christmas tree is down. That means the festive period is officially over, and this festive edition of Football Romancing Tour is also over. So we'll be back to normal from now on with the focus on Liga, La Liga and Serie A. So my aim for 2017 is to be a bit more active on social media, particularly on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And of course, I'll be putting these videos up on YouTube as well. So make sure you get following. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you again soon from sunnier climates.